There is a universal principle that governs all life, from the smallest atom to the vast galaxies. Everything is in a constant state of flow. When we resist that flow, when we hold tightly to our past hurts, our attachments, and our fears, we create blockages in our lives. But when we surrender, when we let go, not with weakness, but with trust, we open ourselves to something extraordinary. You see, letting go is not giving up. It is not resignation or apathy. Letting go is an act of courage. It is choosing to release the need to control everything, choosing to believe that there is a higher order, a divine intelligence that knows far more than your ego ever could. We've been conditioned to believe that holding on is strength, holding on to our titles, our possessions, our grudges, our opinions. But in truth, strength comes from surrender. True power lies in knowing that you don't need to force outcomes because you trust that everything you need will come to you in divine time. When you let go, you rise. A mindset that is ready for the next level is a mind that is free. Free from the need for approval, free from the need for external validation, free from the illusion of control. You don't rise higher by climbing over others or accumulating more. You rise by releasing what weighs you down. Ask yourself today, what am I clinging to that no longer serves me? Perhaps it's a belief that you are not enough. Perhaps it's a fear that if you let go, you will lose something vital. But what if in letting go you gain everything? The universe responds not to your desperation, but to your alignment. And alignment happens when your thoughts, your energy, your intentions are in harmony with the energy of trust. When you let go, you become available to receive, not from a place of lack, but from a place of inner knowing. Let go of the need to hustle for your worth. Let go of the need to prove anything to anyone. Let go of the need to figure it all out right now. You are already connected to the source of all creation. That source knows the way. Your role is not to control but to align, not to force but to flow. Next level thinking requires that you understand you are not separate from the greatness you seek. It is already within you, waiting to be uncovered, not by grasping but by releasing. And in that sacred space of letting go, you rise, not by the standards of the world, but by the measure of your own soul. You rise in peace, in purpose, and in power. Let go and rise higher. Letting go is often misunderstood. In a world that praises control, dominance, and achievement, the idea of surrender can be seen as weakness or failure. But this is a misconception that keeps many people stuck in cycles of stress, frustration, and limitation. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about giving over to something greater than your limited perception, to a higher wisdom that exists beyond the mind's grasp. In truth, letting go is a profound act of strength, and it is the gateway to freedom. When we hold on tightly to outcomes, to people, to beliefs, or to the past, we are operating from a place of fear. Fear that we might lose what we have, fear that we might not be enough, fear that the future won't unfold in our favor unless we force it. This grip, though it feels safe and controlled, actually creates tension, resistance, and emotional heaviness. The more we try to cling, the more we suffer. The moment we decide to release that grip, however, we shift into a space of openness. And in that openness, strength emerges, not the strength to control, but the strength to trust. Letting go is an inner stance that declares, I no longer need to manage everything. I no longer need to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. I am willing to trust in a power greater than myself. This is not passivity. It is not indifference. It is the willingness to step back and allow life to unfold in its natural divine rhythm. The ego wants to force. The soul wants to flow. When we let go, we stop trying to bend life to our will, and we begin to align with a higher order. There is a quiet, unshakable power in surrender. It requires faith. It requires the courage to stand in the unknown without fear. Most people feel strong when they are in control, but real strength is revealed when you can remain calm and grounded even when you're not. Real strength is shown when you can face uncertainty without anxiety, when you can release attachments without falling apart, and when you can walk away from what no longer serves you with peace in your heart. Letting go also means letting go of old identities. We often define ourselves by our stories, our pain, our successes, our roles, our struggles. But growth requires shedding these layers. Who you were yesterday does not have to define who you are today. Letting go of outdated self-images allows you to evolve and rise into your highest potential. It means being willing to live not from your history, but from your possibilities. Another aspect of letting go is releasing the need for validation. Many people live under the constant burden of trying to prove themselves to others, but seeking approval is a trap that keeps you bound to the opinions and expectations of the outside world. Letting go of that need allows you to reclaim your inner authority. You begin to live from your own truth, guided not by fear of rejection, but by the call of your soul. When you let go, you become light. The burdens of fear, control, and attachment are heavy, but freedom, peace, and clarity come from releasing them. In that release, your energy rises. You no longer react to life, you respond with wisdom and grace. You don't chase what you want, you attract it through alignment. Letting go is the act that allows this shift. It opens space for new opportunities, deeper love, and greater peace. And it affirms more powerfully than any struggle ever could that you trust in the unfolding of your life. That trust is true strength. Surrender is often misunderstood in the modern world, where effort, ambition, and control are praised as the primary forces behind success. Yet there is a deeper, more powerful force at work in the universe, one that cannot be manipulated, forced, or controlled. It is the divine flow, an unseen intelligence that governs the natural order of life, and surrender is the key to aligning with it. Surrender is not about passivity or giving up. It is about yielding to the wisdom of the universe, trusting that life is unfolding exactly as it should, and allowing yourself to flow with it rather than against it. There is a natural rhythm to everything: the tides, the seasons, the beating of your heart, and the breath moving in and out of your body. You don't control any of these things, yet they sustain your life. In the same way, there is a rhythm to your experiences, your growth, and your journey. When you try to force outcomes or cling to rigid plans, you disrupt that natural flow. Surrender is the act of releasing that need to control and trusting in the intelligence that is already guiding everything. Divine flow does not operate on the timetable of the ego. The ego wants results now, answers immediately, and outcomes that match its expectations. The divine, however, works with perfect timing, orchestrating events and opportunities in ways that are often beyond your immediate understanding. When you surrender, you move from the limited perspective of the ego into the vast awareness of the soul. You no longer need to figure everything out, because you trust that what is meant for you will come in its own time and in its own way. Surrendering also means letting go of resistance. Much of human suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the resistance to those events. We want things to be different than they are. We argue with reality, and we create internal conflict. But when you surrender, you stop resisting you accept the present moment fully, knowing that acceptance does not mean resignation. It means choosing peace over struggle. In that acceptance, you find clarity, and with clarity, the next step often reveals itself naturally. Living in divine flow requires presence. You cannot surrender while lost in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. You surrender by being fully here now, open to what this moment is bringing. In that presence, you begin to feel the support of the universe. Life becomes less about striving and more about allowing opportunities come with ease. Relationships deepen, and your path unfolds with grace. This does not mean life becomes perfect, but it does mean you are no longer fighting against it. Surrendering also opens you to guidance. When you are trying to control everything, you are too busy to listen. But when you let go, you create space to hear the subtle nudges, the quiet intuition, and the signs that are always pointing you in the right direction. Divine flow communicates not through force, but through stillness and synchronicity. The more you surrender, the more attuned you become to this guidance. Ultimately, surrender is an act of deep trust, trust that you are supported, that you are not alone, and that life is conspiring in your favor even when things seem uncertain or difficult. Trust that every experience has meaning and purpose, and that by surrendering, you are aligning yourself with a force far greater than your own will. This is the space where miracles happen, not because you force them, but because you allow them. In surrender, you move with life, not against it. And in that movement, you find freedom, peace, and profound connection to the divine flow that guides all things. Clinging is a natural tendency of the human mind. It clings to what feels safe, familiar, and predictable. We hold tightly to people, outcomes, beliefs, and possessions because they give us a sense of identity, security, and control. Yet in that very act of clinging, we create inner blockages that restrict our growth, limit our potential, and cut us off from the flow of life. The tighter we hold, the more tension we create within ourselves, and that tension shows up in the form of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Clinging is born out of fear, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. The mind convinces us that if we can just hold on tightly enough, we won't have to face uncertainty. But life, by its very nature, is uncertain. Everything in existence is impermanent. Seasons change, relationships evolve, careers shift, bodies age, and circumstances transform. When we cling to what is meant to move or change, we resist the natural order, and that resistance creates suffering. Imagine trying to hold water in your hand by gripping it tightly. The more you squeeze, the more the water slips through your fingers. It's the same with life. The more you try to control it by clinging, the more you lose connection to its natural flow. You become disconnected from the present moment, always fearing what might be taken away, or obsessing over how to hold on to what you have. In this state, your energy is constricted. You are not open to receive, to grow, or to experience the richness of what could be, because your focus is locked on what you're trying to preserve. Clinging also creates emotional blockages. Holding on to past hurts, grudges, or disappointments traps you in a cycle of resentment and pain. The past becomes a weight you carry into every new moment, coloring your perceptions and limiting your ability to experience joy. Forgiveness is the antidote to clinging in this case, not because you condone what happened, but because you choose to release the hold it has on your energy. When you let go, you free yourself. You create space for healing, for love, and for peace. Similarly, clinging to rigid beliefs or identities blocks your spiritual growth. When you define yourself too narrowly by your job, your role, your status, or your opinions, you become attached to a version of yourself that may no longer serve who you are becoming. Growth requires flexibility. It asks you to shed old layers and open to new perspective. If you cling to who you think you are, you cannot step into who you are truly meant to be. The same is true for desires and goals. Wanting something is natural, but when desire turns into attachment, it becomes a source of stress. You begin to believe that your happiness depends on achieving a specific outcome, and if that outcome doesn't materialize, you feel incomplete or frustrated. Clinging to outcomes blinds you to the gifts of the present moment and the possibility that something better, something more aligned, may be on its way. When you release attachment to outcomes, you allow life to surprise you, and you become more receptive to opportunities that may be beyond what you imagined. Letting go of clinging does not mean you stop caring or that you detach emotionally from life. It means you engage fully, but with openness rather than control. You love without trying to possess, you work without becoming consumed by results, and you live with the understanding that everything is unfolding as it should. In releasing the need to hold on, you allow energy to flow freely through you. This flow brings clarity, peace, and a deeper connection to the present moment, where true life is always happening. Clinging constricts, letting go liberates. The next level mindset begins with a shift in how you define success, power, and fulfillment. It's not about accumulating more, dominating others, or proving your worth to the world. It is about inner freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from limitation, and freedom from the illusions that the ego clings to. This kind of mindset does not rely on external circumstances for peace. It finds peace within and allows that inner stability to guide every action and decision. Many people live in a mental prison without realizing it. They are confined by beliefs inherited from others, expectations imposed by society, and fears cultivated by past experiences. They think they are free because they can make choices. But true freedom is not just about making choices. It's about being free from the forces that unconsciously shape those choices. A next-level mindset means becoming aware of what has been controlling you so that you can liberate yourself from it. This inner freedom begins with the realization that you are not your thoughts, emotions, or roles. You are the awareness behind them. When you can observe your thoughts without being controlled by them, you begin to see how much of your life has been dictated by patterns of fear, doubt, and insecurity. You might notice how often your actions have been motivated by the desire to avoid pain or seek approval. The next level of thinking involves stepping outside those patterns and making decisions from a place of inner clarity, not external pressure. Living with this freedom also means being unattached to outcomes. It doesn't mean you lack ambition or goals. It means you are no longer defined by whether those goals are achieved. You pour your energy into your work, your relationships, your passions, but you do it from a space of joy and inspiration, not desperation or fear of failure. You begin to understand that your value is intrinsic, not something you have to earn through achievement or recognition. This inner freedom allows you to remain peaceful even when things don't go as planned, because you trust the larger process of life. Freedom also means letting go of comparison. The ego thrives on comparing how much you have, how you look, what you've achieved. But comparison always leads to either arrogance or inadequacy. A next-level mindset does not seek superiority, it seeks authenticity. It recognizes that your path is unique, and your worth cannot be measured against anyone else's. You become free when you stop trying to fit into someone else's mold and start honoring your own truth. Another aspect of this freedom is the ability to live without fear of judgment. So many people censor themselves, hide their dreams, and silence their voices because they are afraid of what others might think. But when you are truly free, you live with courage. You are no longer shackled by the need for approval. You understand that people's opinions are a reflection of their own perception, not a verdict on your worth. You live authentically, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. This mindset of freedom also allows you to navigate challenges with grace. Instead of seeing obstacles as threats, you see them as opportunities for growth. You are not controlled by circumstances because your peace does not depend on them. You respond instead of react, knowing that your power lies not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to meet. Ultimately, a next-level mindset is about living as your highest self, not the self that is fearful, reactive, or constrained by the past, but the self that is expansive, resilient, and aligned with a greater purpose. That self is always free to love, to create, to evolve, and to live fully in each moment. This is not freedom granted by the world. It is the freedom that comes from within, and once discovered, it can never be taken away. In the pursuit of growth, success, and fulfillment, many people believe the path forward lies in accumulation, accumulating knowledge, possessions, titles, achievements, and even relationships. The more they gather, the more secure and significant they feel. However, there is a profound truth that often gets overlooked. Real elevation, true rising, does not come from adding more, but from releasing what no longer serves. You rise not by holding on, but by letting go. There is a weight that comes with accumulation. Every possession you own, every belief you cling to, every identity you wear becomes something you carry. Over time, the load grows heavier. The mental clutter, emotional baggage, and physical excess create a kind of spiritual gravity that pulls you down, keeping you from soaring freely. The mind convinces you that more is better, but the soul seeks simplicity, clarity, and lightness. Releasing becomes not just an option, but a necessity if you wish to rise into your highest self. Letting go is not about renouncing life or abandoning responsibility. It's about clearing space internally and externally for what truly matters. When your mind is full of distractions, worries, and attachments, there is little room for peace, insight, or inspiration. Releasing these mental and emotional blockages allows you to tap into deeper awareness and to live more consciously. It's in this state of openness and presence that you rise above the noise of the ego and connect with something greater. Consider the beliefs you have about yourself and the world. Some of them may have served a purpose at one point, but many were inherited, conditioned, or formed through fear and limitation. Beliefs such as "I'm not good enough," "life is a struggle," or "I must control everything" act like chains around your potential. When you release these limiting beliefs, you lift yourself into a higher state of being, a state where possibilities expand and where you can move through life with greater ease and trust. Emotional release is equally vital. Holding on to anger, resentment, regret, or guilt creates emotional density. These unprocessed emotions linger beneath the surface, influencing your behavior, relationships, and decisions. Releasing them is not about forgetting or denying your experiences. It's about acknowledging them fully and choosing to let them go so they no longer weigh you down. In doing so, you create space for joy, love, and peace to enter. You rise emotionally when you stop carrying the past into the present. Even in the realm of goals and ambitions, releasing is powerful. Often we become so attached to specific outcomes that we block ourselves from experiencing better opportunities that life is trying to offer. The need to control how things unfold keeps us in a state of tension and resistance. When you release attachment to the outcome and focus instead on alignment, inspiration, and trust, you allow life to flow. Ironically, the less you cling, the more you receive. You rise by becoming available to what is meant for you, rather than chasing what isn't. On the path of spiritual growth, the most profound rising happens when you release the illusion of separateness, the belief that you are alone, disconnected, or unworthy. As you release this illusion, you awaken to your oneness with life, with Source, with all beings. In this awakened state, you do not rise above others, but with them in harmony and unity. Your energy becomes light, expansive, and free. And in that freedom, you discover your true power, not in what you own or achieve, but in who you are when you let go of everything that is not you. Releasing is a process, a daily practice of choosing peace over struggle, surrender over control, and love over fear. Each time you let go of something false, something unnecessary, or something heavy, you ascend. You become more attuned to your purpose, more aligned with your soul, and more available to the beauty and grace that life continuously offers. Rising is not about striving, it is about allowing. And to allow, you must first release. At the core of your being, beyond your thoughts, beyond your emotions, beyond the roles you play in the world, there exists a quiet, powerful presence. This presence is not separate from life, not separate from the universe, and certainly not separate from what many call God, Source, or divine intelligence. You are already connected to this source, not as a distant observer, not as someone trying to earn connection, but as an expression of it. You do not need to search for the divine outside of yourself because it lives within you and flows through you in every breath, every heartbeat, and every moment of awareness. Most people, however, have forgotten this connection. They live in a world of appearances where the external seems more real than the internal, where the noise of the mind drowns out the stillness of the soul. In this forgetfulness, they feel lost, disconnected, and alone, constantly seeking something to fill the void. They look for validation, love, success, and meaning outside themselves, not realizing that the very source of all these things is already within them. The journey then is not about attaining connection, but remembering. Your connection to Source is not something that can be broken or diminished. It is always present, always available. What changes is your awareness of it. The more you identify with the ego, the small self that believes it is separate, limited, and lacking, the more distant you feel from Source. But this distance is only an illusion created by the mind. You cannot be apart from what you are made of. You are not merely a creation of Source, you are a part of Source itself, a unique expression of divine energy in physical form. When you begin to turn inward, to become still and present, you start to sense this connection. It reveals itself in moments of peace, inspiration, love, and awe. It is the intuitive nudge that guides you, the feeling of unity when you are in nature, the deep knowing that there is more to life than what you see with your eyes. These are glimpses of your true self, the self that is eternally connected to. And as you cultivate awareness, those glimpses turn into a way of being. One of the greatest shifts that occurs when you realize your connection to Source is the dissolving of fear. Fear thrives in separation when you believe you are alone, unsupported, or vulnerable. Fear naturally arises. But when you know, not just intellectually, but experientially, that you are held by a loving, intelligent universe, fear begins to fade. In its place comes trust, a trust that you are guided, that life is for you, and that you are exactly where you need to be in every moment. This connection also brings a sense of completeness. You stop chasing things to feel whole because you realize you are already whole. Everything you need is already within you, the wisdom, the love, the creativity, the strength. These qualities are not something you acquire, they are aspects of Source expressing through you. The more you connect with this inner Source, the more your life becomes a reflection of that inner truth. Your outer world shifts because your inner world is rooted in peace. Living from this awareness doesn't mean you withdraw from life, it means you engage with life more fully, more consciously, and more compassionately. You begin to see others not as separate, but as fellow expressions of the same Source. You act not from ego-driven desires, but from inspired intentions. Your decisions become aligned with a deeper wisdom, and your actions are infused with love. You are not a drop in the ocean hoping to find the sea. You are the ocean in a drop, already vast, already connected, already enough. This truth has always been within you. The invitation is simply to return to it, to remember it, and to live from the unshakable knowing that you are and have always been one with Source.